Butts with a CTV News update. The number of new coronavirus cases and deaths related to the virus continue to surge. State health officials report more than 2,000 new COVID cases within the last 24 hours. An additional 48 Maryland residents have died from the virus. This is the most reported deaths in a single day since May. Here in Prince George's, 42,000 county residents have tested positive for COVID. A fire rips through a home in Seat Pleasant. It happened here in the 6700 block of Central Avenue around 7:30 last night. When crews arrived, they found fire coming from the first and second floors of the home. There were no injuries, but the blaze caused an estimated $150,000 in damage. Police are investigating a shooting death in Oxon Hill. It happened at around 9:15 last night at the 4900 block of Winthrop Street near the D.C.-Maryland line. The victim is 33-year-old Levi James of Oxon Hill. Officers were called to the area for the report of a shooting. The victim was found on the ground with several gunshot wounds and was pronounced dead at the scene. There have been 86 homicides in Prince George's this year. An effort is underway to honor the 37,000 Black Americans who were buried in a former D.C. cemetery. Organizers say they want to restore dignity to desecrated graves. Byron Scott has our story.
It's called Project Harmony Gravestone Repatriation. It's an effort to retrieve thousands of gravestones that were tossed into the Potomac River 60 years ago. There were 37,000 African Americans buried at Harmony Cemetery, which used to be located until 1960 at 9th and Rhode Island Avenue Northeast in D.C. The land was sold to a developer. Graves were ripped out of the ground and relocated to a new location in Landover. The stones were tossed into the Potomac. Recently, a group began retrieving the markers. The plan by the descendant-led initiative is to remove as many stones as possible and take them to the Landover location.
And to disrespect graves by removing them, destroying that space, is one of the most offensive things that you can do to the remains of a human being. And so for the city of DC to do that during that moment was just an atrocity.
So far, about 50 stones have been retrieved, but organizers hope to get as many as possible. The organization has a virtual fundraiser set for tomorrow night to help with that effort. Among the speakers is Nettie Washington Douglas, the great-great-granddaughter of Frederick Douglass, who had a brother buried at Harmony in the 1800s.
And so by being able to repatriate these gravestones to the family, to connect these material representations of their ancestors to the remains of their ancestors to those families, is a way to restore justice for something that happened back in 1960. So there's moments in history, and they are rare, where you can actually try to restore justice onto things that happened in the past. And this project is going to attempt to do the best job at that as possible.
Now that fundraiser is set for tomorrow night from 6 to 7 o'clock. To attend, go to HassanWorldwide.org and look for the link for the Zoom call. I'm Byron Scott.
Gun rights advocates, many from out of state, plan to renew their challenge to Maryland's assault weapons ban. They say they hope the new conservative U.S. Supreme Court will consider and overturn a 2017 lower court ruling that upheld the state's prohibition. The advocates filed papers on Tuesday urging a federal district court in Baltimore to declare the weapons ban a violation of the Second Amendment. A U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals rejected the argument 3 years ago, a ruling that the Supreme Court let stand without comment. Maryland approves a key permit to build a pipeline carrying fracked gas along the Eastern Shore. Wednesday's unanimous vote by the Board of Public Works took many opponents by surprise, including the NAACP and the Chesapeake Climate Action Network.
The pipeline will be constructed through 40 census tracts, 36 of which are EJ eligible, which means that the communities are either over 20% in poverty and or 30% people of color. And why this is concerning is because these communities are often the ones that are overburdened by toxic infrastructure like this. Infrastructure that pollutes their air and affects their quality of health and their air quality, but also infrastructure that affects their land, their soil, and their water.
More than 50 Maryland lawmakers and 5 organizations have signed a letter in opposition to the pipeline. Maryland State Police stop a COVID-positive child just minutes before he and his family were set to board a flight to Puerto Rico. The close call happened at BWI Thurgood Marshall Airport on Tuesday before Thanksgiving. Health officials in Wicomico County issued an isolation order for the 9-year-old boy and alerted a network of COVID-19 responders. State police got the alert at 3 p.m. for a flight that was departing at 4:15. Officers rushed to the gate and detained the family before they were able to expose passengers on the plane. A Maryland health official contradicts Governor Larry Hogan, saying that the first batch of Korean virus tests were never used. Acting Health Secretary Dennis Schrader told the Board of Public Works yesterday that none of the 500,000 coronavirus tests the state purchased from South Korea in April were used to diagnose whether people had the virus. Schrader says more than 496,000 were given back to the manufacturer as a part of a deal for replacement tests. His assertions contradict statements made last month by Hogan after the Washington Post reported that none of the original tests had been used. Small businesses struggling to stay afloat during the pandemic, listen up. You can receive up to $3,000 through the COVID-19 Open Door Fund. Councilmember Mel Franklin is partnering with the PFC Black Chamber of Commerce on the grant program. Local entrepreneurs and small businesses with 1 to 10 employees can apply.
Small businesses are the lifeblood of Prince George's County's economy. As they grow, our tax base grows, our ability to invest in public education and other public services grows. So when these companies fail, when these companies don't thrive, our residents don't thrive.
This is our lifeline. If nobody helps them, if we don't help them, if we don't amplify our voice to help them, there's nobody going to help them. And our small Black businesses in this county is going to be devastated.
The grant program opened today. To apply, visit pfcblackchamber.org. The deadline to enroll in the Maryland Health Connection is coming up. The coronavirus emergency enrollment period is open now until December 15th. This period is only for uninsured residents. For more information, visit MarylandHealthConnection.gov. Prince George's daycare centers hit hard by the pandemic can receive grants of up to $20,000. The Economic Development Corporation has extended its child care provider recovery program to December 11th. Registered family home-based centers are also eligible for up to $3,000 in financial aid. The grant money can be used for payroll, rent, and to purchase PPE.
Our child care providers, this provides them with some much needed financial assistance if they needed to reopen and needed some costs to cover, or they're having to reduce the number of children that they see. And so it's having a financial impact on our child care centers. And so we want to support them through this grant.
To apply, visit pgcedc.com/childcarerecovery. County Executive Angela Alsobrooks names a new Chief Administrative Officer. Alsobrooks has tapped Tara Jackson as her new CAO. Jackson, who was the Deputy Chief Administrative Officer for the county, takes over from Major Riddick, who came out of retirement and served as CAO since the start of the Alsobrooks administration. Jackson takes over the new post effective tomorrow. Alsobrooks also named Jarrett McCarthy as the next Deputy Chief Administrative Officer. It's the end of an era for the Washington Wizards. 5-time All-Star player John Wall is heading to Houston. Wall and a future first-round pick from Washington have been traded for Rockets point guard Russell Westbrook. Westbrook, an All-Star, played under Wizards coach Scott Brooks when they were both with the Oklahoma City Thunder. Let's get a quick check on our 3-day weather forecast. Tonight, mostly cloudy with a low around 39 degrees. Friday, mostly cloudy with a chance of rain in the afternoon. Daytime temps reach a high near 54 and a low around 44. Saturday, the rain continues throughout the morning. Otherwise, mostly cloudy with a high near 53, dropping to a low around 33. Sunday, sunny with a cool and cool with a high near 44 and a low around 30. And now for the community calendar, calling all tweens. The Prince George's County Memorial Library System invites young scholars to play a quiz show and test your book trivia knowledge. Questions will come from books such as Dog Man, Dork Diaries, and more. The free virtual game is this Friday, December 4th from 3:30 to 4:30 p.m. for students ages 8 to 12. To register for the event, visit pgcmls.info and search virtual events. And that wraps up our CTV News Update. I'm Keisha Butts. Have a good night.
For the latest information on COVID-19 in Maryland, visit the State Health Department website. That's health.maryland.gov. Again, health.maryland.gov. Click the link to the COVID-19 information portal. There you'll find all the latest information about coronavirus. You'll find daily updates on cases and fatalities. Answers to questions about testing and the governor's stay-at-home order are available as well. For specific information about Prince George's, visit PrinceGeorgesCountyMD.GOV. That's PrinceGeorgesCountyMD.GOV. The site offers information about local services for residents and businesses. There's a link for COVID-19 relief donations. Also, food pantry locations are listed. And if you have any questions, call the county COVID-19 hotline at 301-883-6627. That's 301-883-6627.
There was a time in my life where I was extremely homesick. I decided that I needed a pet. When I first saw a turtle, my heart was full. He jumped up and kissed me and jumped right into my arms. I immediately went up to the volunteers at the shelter and said, I want him, he's gotta come home with me. Now anything but lonely. Every day with Turtle is a perfect day and keeps me company when I'm doing schoolwork. I like it when he jumps up on the table too. He is a veggie thief. He's an incredible companion and my best friend. Can't say that I've met anybody that doesn't love him too. When I adopted Turtle, I discovered all the things that make him unique. He's a little bit of a lot of things, but mostly he's all pure love.
Children are spending more time at home. Teachers, parents, neighbors, and friends, it's up to you to keep them safe. Now more than ever, it's important to stay connected. By phone, video chat, and social media. If you have concerns or see changes in a child, be there for them. Ask questions. Seek help. Report suspected child abuse or neglect.
Hi, everyone. Al Roker here. As a guy with his own catchphrase, I appreciate that after 75 years, Smokey's only said,
"Only you can prevent wildfires."
But I'm filling in because there's a lot more to report. Like when there are parched or windy conditions out there, you gotta be extra careful with things like burning yard waste. After all, wildfires can start anywhere, even in your neck of the woods. Go to SmokeyBear.com to learn more about wildfire prevention.
My God.
It's another sad day in America.
Painful to be introduced to George Floyd during his last breath.
With the cop's knee on his neck. He deserves so much more.
How many black lives have to be taken before something is done?
We are not a threat.
I am shaking as I type.
This has got to stop.
We are sick of it.
We need conviction.
I just want us all to live.
The deaths will not stop until the powers that be are finally held accountable.
Don't look away from the truth until every one of us are free from white supremacy.
The world stands with you.
Criminalizing and killing of black and brown bodies is not new. It's as old as America. It's just getting filmed more.
Do you know what it feels like to be hunted? To have a new hashtag for a dead black person every single day? How does one plan a life if they aren't sure they will have a life to plan?
Deborah Dance,
Nina Pop, Stephen Clark, Megan, Nia Wilson, Christopher
George Floyd. His name was George Floyd. Say his name.
Say his name.
George Floyd. Say his name.
Say their names. Once again and always, we fight for justice. Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter.
Rest in power, beautiful.
Go to blacklivesmatter.com.